Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. It's 20 past 7 p.m. at the time of recording. I don't know what to make of this. An absolute cluster F potentially on the cards here. Two different sets of ITKs are saying two different things tonight with regards to Tottenham Hotspur's pursuit of Eberechi Eze. If either of them are true, then I don't know what to say. We could be back to square one. And we could be in a lot of problem. Now, I've been saying to you for a long time that when certain things happen, you have dominoes and skittle effects. And when one domino falls, it can create a butterfly effect, and that you can end up with all sorts of things that drop in various directions. Now, we know this morning that Kai Havertz, Arsenal's versatile forward, has gone down with a knee injury. And that apparently, Arsenal will now have to expedite, according to Ornstein, their search for a new attacker. As soon as that happened, WhatsApp groups, I'm sure around the world that were Tottenham-centric, were going mental. Mine certainly was for the panic stations. Typical, they're going to come in and steal Eberechi Eze. The hijack is on. Then as the day went on, more news dropped saying, actually, Arsenal at this stage, given that they have just offered Leandro Trossard a new contract, apparently not an extension of his contract, just an improved contract, that would maybe sort of curtail some of that risk. Then other reports were coming out saying, actually, at this stage, Arsenal are looking for more of a loan situation if they can find one. Or a relatively kind of smaller scale transfer, given where they're at, injuries, returns. They don't want to overbloat the squad. Separately to that, tonight we hear that Pini Zahavi, the super agent, has flown into London alongside Rodrigo's agents, and that they are scheduling to have talks with both Liverpool and with Arsenal. Manchester City, interestingly, were not a part of the list of teams that were going to meet with Rodrigo's agents and also Zahavi, the super agent. So make of that what you will. But at the same time, and I'm just sharing this guy, I don't know whether this guy is any good, but if you listen to people on Twitter, they seem to support the guy Spurs Journo, and they also seem to support the guy Himothy. I don't know, guys. I'm just telling you what's out there. Don't shoot the messenger. But this guy, Poseidon, Spurs Journo, has come out and said 48 minutes ago, Tottenham Hotspur desperately want to and need to accelerate the deal for Eberechi Eze. They are no longer the only club in the race. Of course, there is a meltdown that is currently ensuing on Twitter. Levy out drums, you can hear them over the hill. I have no idea if it's true or not. People are speculating as to who it might be. A lot of people are saying, could it be Arsenal? Are they back in? Other ITKs, though, other sort of more serious journalists, more known journalists, are saying it's not going to be Arsenal, that they were interested in Eberechi Eze if the price point was going to be £45 million, but at £60 million, or that sort of ballpark figure, which is what Tottenham are apparently close to in their valuation, they're not interested at that price point. But of course, it could be Bayern Munich. Now, remember, Bayern Munich already have sort of taken some superstars, if you like, from Crystal Palace in the past. And there is, I guess, maybe a decent relationship there. Maybe, just maybe, Parish is more willing to deal with a club outside of the Premier League. We also have the conundrum, the idea that that Oliver Glasner came out today and said, you were all surprised when we played Eberechi Eze and Mark Gahey on the weekend, and you're all going to be surprised when you see him playing on Thursday in the Conference League. But that's the plan. Tomorrow night, at this stage, Eze is going to play. Whether or not that's going to be the final moments, or whether or not we're being strung along again. Remember, all last night, there was the back and forths with the rumours of there's been new performance-based bonuses that have been required to be added to the package that has sort of really infuriated Daniel Levy. I spoke about this on the video earlier on. And so I don't really know where we're at. if Bayern Munich are in for Eberechi Eze, then that could be a problem. Remember, they haven't yet replaced Musiala from their injury. They've also they've replaced Luis Diaz, after selling Leroy Sané. But at the same time, they are going to need to bring in someone. And in their last warm-up game, they played Elise in the 10. He's obviously traditionally more of a right winger. Could you see them trying to come in there and hijack the move for Eberechi Eze? It's a terrifying prospect. And of course, Eze and Elise, very, very close buddies from their time together at Palace. So that is one part of the situation that is scary this evening with regards to Tottenham's pursuit, especially when you also see this Rodrigo story. And we know where we are with regards Savio at this stage. Tottenham Hotspur, apparently, according to Romano, haven't given up on the pursuit of Savinho, but that the move is being cop-blocked by Manchester City CEO and other people at the higher end of that particular club. Pep Guardiola, as I spoke about earlier, basically coming out saying, if he wants to leave, he has to just say it, but he hasn't said so. And so Tottenham might end up wasting more time trying to do a deal there that might have been predicated on the idea of Rodrigo being the replacement for Savio at Manchester City. But with Rodrigo's agents and Zahavi coming into town to only talk, allegedly, according to all these ITK and journalists, only talking to Liverpool and to Arsenal, well, then that looks like it's increasingly difficult to get done. Now, I was like, okay, we can wait and see with Savio, but let's just get this Eze deal over the line. And then in the last hour, there's been another absolute crazy bombshell that's coming out of Sky Sports and a bunch of different journalists as well, of all different caliber, shapes and sizes. And they are saying, guys, that Tottenham Hotspur are trying to include, and I won't be able to show you the video, but that Tottenham Hotspur are looking to include Richarlison in a deal for Eberechi Eze. This would in turn free up the striker space to try and sign Yves Bissouma. Now, we know that Brentford and Newcastle are not best pleased with each other. Newcastle's got their own problems with regards to Alex Isak, whether they're absolutely fuming with Alex Isak for kind of conducting his business in a certain style. Remember, on the 22nd of August, Alexander Isak, technically, it hasn't been done yet, but technically, he can, I believe, as far as I understand, and forgive me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I believe that he will have been at the club for 3 years on August the 22nd, which allows him technically, if he wanted to, and it'd be crazy if he did, and I think the ramifications would be monumental in English football, he could invoke, I think it's called Article 17, that allows him to buy himself out of his contract and pay off the remaining fee and any sort of nominal percentage on the transfer fee that was paid for him. And there's some speculation there that that's about 20 to 25 million pounds. Some people are saying it's closer to 30. Now, again, I'd be very surprised if that happened, but maybe that is what Alexander Isak, maybe that's his ace up his sleeve to force the issue if he absolutely wants to. He is doubling down on the fact that he thinks he's been treated badly. We saw his statement yesterday. And ultimately, guys, all of this could be one big giant game of dominoes. If Alex Isak does do that, or if there is a movement in the next coming hours or days with Liverpool's pursuit of Alexander Isak, then will they also be going after Rodrigo? We'll wait and see. But with regards to the Isak story, if they can't find a price point and Newcastle aren't going to budge, then it'll be very interesting to see whether or not they still pursue Wissa, especially as Wissa has not behaved in quite the same level, but to some degree, he's refused to play for Brentford, and he has, of course, also wiped his profiles on Instagram and various socials from any mentions of Brentford Football Club. And so it leaves you with this weird feeling that are Tottenham really going to be able to try to get Wissa out of Brentford? Would Brentford actually be more prepared to deal with Tottenham if they think that Newcastle are encouraging that behaviour on the one hand, whilst on the other hand, chastising and sort of talking about the deplorable behaviour of which Alexander Isak is behaving, even though it's not that dissimilar, and refusing to play and all these things? It's an absolute minefield of weirdness and complexity. Either way, Richarlison going to be included in the Eberechi Eze deal? Now, it's been widely sort of ridiculed on Twitter, this story. Most people on Twitter that are Tottenham fans saying there's absolutely no chance. Thomas Frank is a big fan of his. Look, we've been talking, most of us in the Tottenham fan base have been very happy with the idea of saying goodbye to Richarlison, but it's interesting what, two very strong performances on back-to-back, two very strong performances back-to-back can do for a reputation. So a lot of people now are suddenly much more happy for him to stay. He clearly would prefer to stay. But the notion of him going to Crystal Palace now to be included in the Eberechi Eze deal, it's coming from Sky Sports. It's coming from a lot of big journalists. So if there's some truth to it, listen, whether or not it's realistic, the fact that there's some noise around it must mean that it's been suggested. And if it's been suggested, whether or not there's any interest, does that really suggest to you that the deal is that close on a cash terms basis for them to now say, well, hang on, how about we come out of left field and offer you Richarlison instead? And even if you were to do that, do you really think that Yves Bissouma is the likely option? How confident would they be of being able to get in front of Newcastle if there is an Isak triggering of that whole Article 17 thing? Would Wissa want to come to Tottenham ahead of Newcastle? At Newcastle, if Isak leaves, he can play, top boy. At Tottenham, I don't know. Solanke, Wissa, possibly Wissa would go in as top man, but is Tottenham really going to pay 45, 50 million pounds for a 29, 30-year-old? I find the whole thing absolutely bonkers. But the fact that the story has got to the stage of being on Sky Sports and everywhere else on Twitter, even though it's been ridiculed, to me, the more, I don't think there's any truth to it with Richarlison, or any truth of it, or sorry, any realistic truth to it, realistic outcomes where that's going to happen. But in a world where there's at least been a conversation about it, to me, the biggest kind of flag in the air here, I'm not sure if it's a red one or a yellow one, but it certainly suggests to me that if that conversation has happened, then we might be back to square one with the negotiations anyway, because that would require a hell of a lot of more time to be able to figure out the various structures, who's valued at what, how much interest would there be in Richarlison leaving. And so to even speculate that that's a plausible outcome, to me, suggests that the Eze deal is nowhere near as close as maybe has been reported. I really hope that it's a load of nonsense and it's just someone's putting two and two together and getting something a lot larger number than that, than reality. But you have to scratch your head a little bit. If Bayern Munich are coming in because they need to replace Musiala and they can't go anywhere else, they're not seeming to get any bites. They didn't manage to get Voltemade in. They're not seemingly able to convince RB Leipzig to look at to allow them to look at Xavi Simons. They're struggling to find any kind of real replacements on the German market. The English market, are they able to go in there? Are they still going to be able to go and get Martinelli? Remains to be seen. That will be pending on the possibly on the Rodrigo deal. Either way, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it, but this double kind of breaking news story here, one that Rodrigo's coming in, Rodrigo's agents are in town to talk to everyone but City, suggests to me that Savio ain't leaving anytime soon. And if there's truth, if what Spurs Journo is saying that Tottenham are no longer the only interested party, and that Daniel Levy's furious with Steve Parish after last night's changing of the goalposts, and now people are coming back in with Richarlison, I think we might be back to square one on all of it. I really hope not. I really, really hope not. And by the way, I'm not coming at this from a place of fact. I'm just telling you what's in the what's out there, in case you missed it. And I'd love you to leave your thoughts, and certainly drop your comments, and make sure you smash the like button and smash the subscribe if you haven't already. By the way, guys, if you are interested in this content but you'd rather listen to it on Spotify formats, you can watch it on Spotify, and you can also listen to it on Apple Pods and Amazon as well. Please do leave us a 5-star rating and follow us. Yeah. But let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm not saying anything here. I'm not telling you what's going to happen. I'm not even predicting. I'm just saying, to me, this thing sounds odd. I hope that there's no one coming in for Tottenham, for Eze. I hope that the agreement is basically sealed and that at worst, Eze just wants to play or has been asked to play tomorrow night, and then we can tie this up. But if Bayern Munich comes in, that could be problematic. And even if not, the fact that apparently Tottenham Hotspur are trying to now throw in random curveballs and offering players that are going to have to think long and hard whether they want to leave. And that's all predicated on some notion that we can convince Yves Bissouma to come rather than letting him go to Brentford. There's so many irons in that fire. There's so many weird dominoes that are going to be affecting each other across multiple different conversations and multiple clubs. And that can only mean drawn out delays, and it can only mean major surprises, maybe to the upside. But knowing Tottenham, sometimes it can be to the downside as well. I'll leave it there, guys. Just wanted to update that for you. Let me know your thoughts. Like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know your thoughts. Take care. Bye-bye.